So, more lard products, right? So like I said, we have that whole freezer full of lard. If you saw that little short and watched the candle video, you know that I've got an entire tiny deep freeze full of lard that is just accumulated from over the years of us processing pigs and then getting the fat back and just not being able to eat all of that lard. So we started making those candles and soap. So we used to make soap all the time. We used to have goats, and so we did goat milk and lard soap. Now we no longer have goats, and when we got rid of the goats, we stopped making soap for a while. So got rid of a lot of our stuff for it. So I just slapped these little forms together real quick, just to kind of give us something to try all these out again. These are loaves, 2-point-something pound loaves, so they're that pretty standard size loaf pan. But yeah, I'm gonna lift these out and we'll go ahead and slice these up and show you what these look like. We did a lavender with lavender flowers on top, a cedar wood with juniper berries on top, like food grade juniper berries. We just ran them through a grinder, and then an unscented plain bar to trial out. And we used to get a lot of requests for plain unscented, crazy enough. So I don't know. Let's slice these up, see what they look like. This has been over 24 hours. We tried last night. I pulled out the plain one and folded it back at 24 hours, and the plain one is really, really soft. That's still really soft. And I shouldn't be rubbing that into my fingers, I know better. But, oh well, it'll be fine. I did this last night, didn't get any lye burns. But the scented ones feel the right firmness to slice up. So I'm not sure what the difference is there. We didn't have this problem with it being too soft the last time we made these. So I need to look into that one real quick. But. Okay, so I got them pulled up out of the molds. All I had to do was just take the screwdriver and pull some of these are just air nailed together. So just put a screwdriver in on this side because there's less air nails. Just to kind of, on the other one I was able to just pull it straight up and out, but these is just kind of loosen and then you can just squeeze them back together. No big deal. I'll probably put 2 screws on the ends, so then I can just pull and loosen a screw. But for now, that worked out pretty great. It was just something I made last minute in the shop. These, for the molds, so that there's no seam, or as minimal seam as possible, we folded them like this. I found an awesome video on it. I'll drop the link to that video down in the description so you guys can find that. She was super, super helpful. These two feel really firm. Like honestly, I hope they slice well. They feel soft enough that I think they're gonna slice, but the other one is just too soft to slice, so we'll leave it and not. I'll let that one go for another 24 hours. So let's do this lavender one real quick. I like to use a big meat slicer like this because I don't have one of those fancy things yet. I'll get one of those fancy things eventually. And then one last thing that I used to do all the time we were doing, because we used to do these pretty routinely. I don't like fingerprints being on the soap, so I just put on a set of these. I'm not really worried about the lye being a problem at this state. After 24 to 48 hours, the vast majority of the lye has already converted. So you're not likely to get lye burns, but you could. But the biggest issue is I don't want to leave fingerprints all over someone's soap. Because at this stage, it's really, really soft. Like, it's soft enough you can leave fingerprints really easy. So I'll fold these back. Yeah, that pulled pretty cleanly. The other one, when I pulled it back to test it, you could see like where it was coming, like where it was connected. So not real great. This, pretty good though. And I'll scrape up all these little bits and wad them up into a ball at the end from all 3 different ones and just put it up there, and we'll use that one so that nothing gets wasted. So supposedly the recipe will let you get 10 bars, 10 3.5 ounce bars. But the loaf pan I used that I made according to some specs I found online is a 9-inch long loaf pan, which makes that a little difficult. So we may, before the next batch I make, I may build some new these, because seriously these took me like a minute and a half each, maybe. They're really, the wood or the soap doesn't even actually touch them, so they're just using scrap wood. So I'm really not worried about it. But to make that a little easier, I may cut those, make that longer, and then they would just be a little bit shorter. They wouldn't be much shorter, they'd just be a smidge shorter, but they're already pretty tall. They're like 3 inches tall and 3.5 inches wide. So we're gonna go ahead and cut these sets at this. I'm gonna move this out of my way. Then I don't get a bunch of mushy soap on my ruler, because that just doesn't sound like fun, because there's a cork back on it. So we're gonna cut them at 1 inch, and these would be very rustic. That's what we'll call that. So I'm gonna score them first, so then I can get the ruler out of the way, so I can cut straight down to the table. And I do have a scale sitting here with me, so we'll weigh these and see what they are. This feels about right. I'll also wind up building, I said I'd get one, but really half the time when I say I'm gonna get a tool, if it's something like this that can be made, it just means I'll build it. So I will build one of those wire cutters. The kicker is I need to know exactly what size my form is gonna be, so I didn't want to build something before knowing that, like, do I like that size form or not, which I don't. I'll probably make them 10 inches. So now I'll build one of those wire cutters. So then we can just stand here, grab the end, and just slice through the entire loaf at once. So now we have to be nice and straight. Pop it off. And that's actually not perfectly straight, but I think we'll be okay. This is the benefit of that wire cutter too, is that you know that you're cutting straight. And that came off the bottom of this one. So what I'm gonna do, because they're still really soft at this stage, and we'll probably take these and bevel the edges anyways. So I'm not real worried. Yeah, a little corner came off that one. Again, not a professional soap maker. We're still learning. Obviously, hence olive. So if you have tips and you know a bit more, drop them in the comments. I am always happy to learn. I will wind up watching a dozen more YouTube videos before I make our next batch. So we have had problems in the past with them separating, you know, and so them having 2 layers in some of our early batches of our goat milk lard soap. And I don't see that at all. There's some swirling, but that was because I tried leveling, like pulling some from the unscented to mix with the scented to bring them up to the same level. So I can see that difference. You shouldn't be able to smell a difference. But yeah. These are slicing pretty nice though. I remember one batch we did before that it was just, we'd really waited too long. Life got busy, and so I didn't cut them soon enough. And these are not perfect by any means. Let's see, like those are pretty angled. So very rustic. Let's weigh a couple of these up and see what that actually looks like, because I'm curious. And if I'm curious, I imagine most of you guys are too. So let's set these kind of out of the way real quick. Just enough for me to get the scale in here. So I put some parchment paper on there. Okay, so they're in grams. Let's go to ounces. That's a big bar. So that's 5.88 ounces. 5.66. 4.78. Okay, so my cuts definitely need to be improved. 5.28. Yeah, we'll build one of those special. Well, and then there's some of the lavender berries or flower heads pushed down the side and scored that. That's less than appealing. 4.24. So all but one of them are over. This is 6.26. That is not consistent, so we'll need to work on some consistency here. 5.28. Yeah. So we'll probably wind up, if we sell some of this first set of batches, because this 3 loaves is going to be more than we need, right? If we do sell some of these as like a, hey, here's our trial batch to friends and family, it'll kind of be like a, they're over 5 ounces, and we'll just keep the 4 ounce one. I think that was this one, 4.78. So not far off. Everything else is well over 5 ounces. Whereas most of the bars we were seeing online that other people were selling were like 3.5 ounce bars, which gives me some hope too to drop these, like to go ahead and line that out. And this was with me, mind you, mixing it all up in one go, and then like, so all the soap itself, and then adding the adding fragrance in a separate bowl, pouring off what I thought was going to be the right amount, but not being able to get that exact measurement. So then having to like move them back and forth and be like, well, that looks even. So I bet this is actually probably just overfilled from what the other two are. So I'm gonna pause, clean this up, I'll cut this one, and then we'll come back and I'll show you guys the weights on the juniper and see what that looks like on the inside there. So no splitting or even any swirling in these ones. So that's pretty great. Pretty excited about that. I don't know if I said this in the beginning, so I'm sorry if you had to make it this far into this to hear this, but so these are just lard. So there is lard, lye, water, and then fragrance. And then whatever we decorate the top with, that's it. So there's no other oils. So for me, when we were making soap before, it was a big deal to not use other oils in our soaps. Because a big joke around our place was always that our soaps are orangutan approved, right? Because most of the soaps are using palm oils, coconut oils, and things like that, which a lot of people think are really that sustainable, but they're really not. One, especially not here in the Ozarks, right? Like in the middle of the US, there are so many food miles put on that to get that item to us, and massive amounts of rainforest being cut down to plant those, when we have something that can do that same thing, right? That makes a beautiful bar. Smells great. Smells like soap. It's exactly the same as those others. These ones are all right about. That was 5.14. 5 on the dot. This one's bigger, 5.42. So it looks like I was a little bit more, yeah, 5.38. I was much better at slicing these consistently. So really using what oils you have local to you. So like those oils would be fine where they're at, but using the materials local to you to make a product. This would essentially be a waste product for us beyond, we eat lard, we bake with it, we cook with it. But 2 people can't eat that much, and we don't sell enough of it. Not enough people buy pork fat. So this is a waste product for us that is able to make this amazing product that isn't having to be shipped from all the way across the world to make our soaps with, and is crazy high in vitamin A, or sorry, vitamin D. So these are fantastic as far as getting some of that vitamin D into your body. Pasture-raised pigs have way higher amounts of vitamin D than your standard typical pork, and then a lot of other foods, really. So this is a great way, and you can absorb vitamin D through your skin. Obviously, we build it from the sun. So great way to get some extra vitamin D in your body, and an absolutely great way to, honestly, like my skin working in construction, they're always cracked, and you can see some of it through the gloves from a bunch of masonry work I did yesterday. They're just rough. So, and they'll crack in the winter. When we get to use this soap, when I have it on hand, we ran out about a year back or so, and I found somebody else that had some, so I've been using some of those. My knuckles crack when I don't use it. But using the lard-based soaps, whether it's the lard goat milk or even the lard with the other stuff added in, I notice my knuckles don't crack anymore. So I'm really excited to go back to being able to use ours to have that same benefit. Yeah, there we go. I'll cut that other one up, the original, tomorrow once it's set up a little bit better. This one was right on line with the other one. So what we have to do is, so we'll take these, because they're cold processed soap, we'll take these soaps and we're gonna put them on a baking rack, which I have over here. I'm not gonna risk knocking it over, but you just lay them out like this on a baking rack with parchment paper on the bottom, and then throw it up somewhere where they can just mellow out and not attract hair or dust. So we're gonna put it upstairs. That way they can finish that process of making finish the saponification process and make those little crystals in them that allows them to harden and firm up. So once they're done with that, it'll take between 4 and 6 weeks. Fingers crossed these are done in about 4 weeks. So actually these should be ready for Christmas. So we can either throw a few up on our website that are like, it's pretty nice looking, or we might just give them away for family and friends on this first batch. But now that I've kind of got some things dialed down, I'm going to adjust the size of my form and try one more go. I've got tons of fat, so I'm not really worried about it. We will then start cranking these out pretty extensively, and we'll start selling these as another product that the farm does. Yeah, there we go. If you guys have any questions about this or any of the other lard stuff that we've been working on, because like I said, we've been doing the candles, these, and soot cakes. There are videos for all three that'll be going up. But always remember that you can shoot me a message, or honestly, if you have a question, somebody else probably also has that question on that topic, so just drop it down in the comments. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you're new to finding us and you like this, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to keep up on putting up new videos pretty routinely here. We took a little bit of a break, but we're back at it. Thank you to our Patreon supporters. You guys help make all of this happen. Hunter and Ashley Raymond. Seriously, it is so appreciated. Just know that somebody is willing to help out like that. And then thank you to all the rest of you that watch all of our videos and help get those watch numbers up, and that share these with other folks. It is super, super appreciated. I can't tell you how great that is. Y'all have a good week.